Hi, this is David. I'm your host. You're listening to the last podcast where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I hope you enjoy the show. If you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value that will help shape your life for the better. Today, I just have a quick talk and just want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt, or have you done something and you just felt that you missed the mark, that you somehow fell short? Well, I know I have. Let me start from the very beginning. As far back as I can remember, I never believed in God. Being a non-believer blinded me in the reality of faith and the power of believing in something other than what I can physically see. Now, I could tell you, for years, I've witnessed my grandmother going to church and reading the Bible. I could remember this as if it were yesterday. I mean, every day she read the Bible, early in the morning and late at night before she went to bed. And she would do the same thing every single day. Now, I thought she was just wasting her time, how ignorant I was. Years went by and I went on with life and in a cloud of disbelief, reading books but never acquiring knowledge. And I can see but never really having real sight. I can hear but never came to a full understanding. My unbelief, I would say, clouded my senses and dulled my judgment. Blinded by disbelief, this went on for years. I can remember hearing, as if it was yesterday, my grandmother would say, David, I'm going to pray for you. Well, years went by. What changed? I'm now a believer. So why all of a sudden this big guy here don't believe in God, and what changed? Well, on my life journey, on a road to trying to figure out what I believe and what I don't believe, and what I've seen people who have debates on why God doesn't exist and why it's something that other people want you to believe in. I understood my grandmother tried to impart to me a little clarity. For once in my life, I just couldn't get it. I understood her reasoning, and for seeking forgiveness and salvation and through prayer and reading the scriptures, but I just was not getting the whole picture. And I guess that's why it was hard for me to believe. However, I believe I didn't get the full scope of what I honestly thought, and I never read the Bible anyway at that point. So it took time for me to say, all right, I'm gonna sit down here and I'm gonna see what this is all about. And that's one of those times where you're not doing anything, you're not pressed for time for anything. You sit down and you say, okay, is there any truth to this of what I'm going to read? However, there was still one thing missing. And and that was belief. After reading all of this stuff, I still just didn't believe. So, however, I think believing in something we have never seen, or the people who've never seen before, or the people who believing, like your family members, like in my case it was my grandmother, my mother, father, and all of them who believed in something that they didn't see. And I came to the realization that belief in the gospel and in God and everything is as simple as flipping the switch to a light on and off. You can read the Bible, but if you're reading the Bible with disbelief in your mind, there's nothing happening here. All the light switches are off because you don't believe a doggone thing. And you're actually cemented yourself into the frame of thought that no matter what I read here, I'm not going to believe. Well, I didn't do that. I decided to say, okay, I want this to be real because she believed in it. She lived a long life. You know, they all believed in it. And there's millions and millions of people who believe in this. So um, let me see if there's any truth to it. So I had to reread the Bible again. But this time I did something different. And, I remember a person who was saying, if you're going to read the Bible, go ahead and read it. But before you read it, pray. Pray for understanding. Pray for a way to know if this is true. So, and that's exactly what I did. I prayed to find out if it was real, and I asked God to pretty much confer in me that what I'm reading is real. And yes, that light switch that I had, it came on. So from that point on, I basically said, okay, I choose to believe this. And you can choose to believe or you can choose not to believe. That's entirely up to you. I'm sure you get the technical about facts and particular things. You can debate, but that's up to you. That's even if you want to. Me, I chose to believe. And however, in the end, the burden of proof, I believe it rests on what you choose to believe. So that's, for me, when I was younger, I participated and heard many debates about whether or not to believe in the ancient writings, the Bible, or what have you. I've since discontinued debating. What I fully understand to be complete will of God, I'm not going to try to understand it. I'm just going to try to work within that complete will of God. I don't proclaim to understand what God has for me in my life, but I know that and believe that He has something for me and He has my best interest at heart. So therefore, I will leave the secret thoughts of others alone, and I'll just basically seek my own divine prompting for my own life in the hopes that I can rest assured in my own life I was a lost sheep and now found. I believe the power of belief in things that I cannot see and the power of faith. So what am I going to believe? I'm going to believe in God. I'm going to believe in the faith, and I'm going to trust that all will work out because I believe that in my life, I had a lot of questions. Why this happens, why that happened. And I overheard something that the other day, and it says that, sometimes there is a necessary end to things in order for you to move forward to do certain things. I'm not saying people leaving you or dying or anything like that had anything to do with it, but sometimes you might have a friend in your life and, all of a sudden you guys are no longer friends or you move away and you don't stay in touch or whatever. Sometimes your friends are there for a season. Sometimes God put people in your life for a season. And and I would probably equate to that story in the Bible where, He took the people out of Egypt and basically they were, I'm assuming, traveling in the wilderness for about 40 years, and He gave them manna, and all of a sudden, these people got used to having that manna come down from heaven, and then He stops the manna, and the only way He can stop that manna is, or get them to where they need to go is to stop the manna. I want you guys to go to this land flowing with milk and honey, but if they're so satisfied having the manna, they're not going to want to go to the place that He has for them flowing with milk and honey. So I think that's what happens to us. He put people in our lives to get us to a certain point in life. And then those people are no longer with us. And He's saying, well, I have to move you forward. The only way I'm going to do that, because you're so comfortable, is if I take these people away from you so I can get you to where I need you to be. So I rest in comfort knowing that God has a plan for all of us. We may not know it, we may not understand it, but rest assured, if you trust in him, it'll all work out. For me, I have to be perfectly candid with you. I've lost most of my family members, my immediate family members, and I'm not talking about the kids, I'm talking about all the adults. And I don't equate that. I understand that, there are mitigating circumstances in every situation. But I asked the question at one point, well, why am I still here? And then I really had to trust that he knows what's best. I still got something on this earth to do. And I'm quite sure when I'm finished doing with what I have to do, then I'll be on my way to heaven as well. So if you are worrying about why somebody is leaving you or why someone's left you or why things are not working out, even in your own relationship, if you're in a relationship and it's toxic or it's unhealthy, hey, think about this. You're hanging on to that and it's only going to probably get more unhealthy, more toxic. Sometimes it's good for you to move away. Sometimes it's good to move away from the situation, I should say. And it may sound easy, but I know it's a difficult thing to do. And sometimes we have to go through those difficult things in order for us to grow. See, we would be able to appreciate certain things if we, and I wholeheartedly believe that we wouldn't be able to appreciate certain things if we wouldn't have gone through certain things in our lives. So that's all I really wanted to share with you guys. Thanks again for listening. You're listening to David, and this is the last podcast where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Don't forget to listen on Fridays. We have Poetry Friday, and I look forward to conversing with you guys. If you want to hit me up, go ahead and do so at the last podcast 443@gmail.com. I'll say it again, the last podcast 443@gmail.com. You guys, thanks again for listening and have a blessed day.